We have known immigrants from the 16th century, but the bigger population started to come over during the 19th and the 20th century. By this time, the Chinese worked in our ports and slowly started opening restaurants on every corner of the street. Mid-20th century, Indonesia became independent, and the Dutch people, now integrated in the Indonesian culture, came back to the Netherlands. But the biggest group was late 60s, when the Queen brought Turkish guest workers to the Netherlands. The idea was that after a couple of years they would return to their home country. But years further along, the guest workers brought their family to the Netherlands. The Dutch people had never interacted with the guest workers since they were staying in hotels and worked at different jobs. But the guest workers integrated very well. They were devoted to learn about the culture and language, and in return their kids could learn both languages, Dutch as well as their mother language, and were taught about their culture from back home. In 1975, Suriname decolonized and residents started coming to the Netherlands. They were used to the language as well as the culture, but still this is stated as the time the violence in the Netherlands increased. But the first intercultural problems started when the second and third generation of the guest workers grew older. They weren't the ones who chose to come to the Netherlands, but did have to live there. Throughout their youth, they were taught about both Dutch as their home culture, but seemed to relate more to their home culture. This is not for everyone in this generation, but this was a big part of evolution of intercultural problems. Their culture teaches them about hierarchy, one which the Netherlands doesn't have. This resulted in them not respecting the Dutch culture. Where the first generation was grateful for the chance to work, the second and third generation saw this as a giving. They were Dutch after all. But the origin Dutch citizens still saw them as foreigners, here to do the jobs they didn't want. This made a gap between the two cultures, where the Dutch saw them as disrespectless and they saw the Dutch as racist. In the 21st century, more of the working immigrants came from a Polish background. The Dutch citizens have been reacting differently to this. Some are happy that they don't have to do the heavy jobs. Others are scared they'll take away their jobs and leave them without one. Based on these decisions, people have formed an opinion about immigrants, which concludes the modern society. Some are firmly against them, and some are open their homes for them. Politics represent these opinions. More than ever, debates are formed around this topic, and you're either for or against. Different groups of immigrants are coming to the Netherlands. If you're coming for safety, work, or just more money and better living circumstances, all are categorized under immigrants, and are good or bad. We live in a country, and maybe even a world, filled with stereotypes, which we don't want to let go of because it gives us a common enemy and a common friend. And with that, it gives us unity. We can keep this going if we want to keep living this way, but what we have to ask ourselves is this our culture if our citizens don't choose to live by it? And who are our citizens? Is it just the origin Dutch people, or is it also the people who have been living here for many generations? What is the culture? A general culture where everyone is the same, with the same opinion? Or divided countries living our own life, leaving our legacy intact, but always competing against each other? We all have to make a choice, and there is no right or wrong, as long as your reasons are what you believe in.